Charlie Stone, compete in the 94 kilo category. I train at Gymnasium and Shelbourne CrossFit.
Hi, my name is Nicole Talbot. I compete as an under 69 and I train at Gym 66 in Charlton.
I'm Chloe Shelbourne-Ralph. I also compete at under 69, part of University of Gloucestershire Weightlifting Club, and I train at Gym 66.
Tell me a bit about how long you've been weightlifting.
Okay, yeah, I've been weightlifting now for about 5 years. Started when I was living in London, lived quite close to a local weightlifting gym. Learned there, had a good coach, and just sort of got addicted to sport from there. It's a very simple sport. It's very hard, but it's very rewarding at the same time. And I just think that combination is very addictive. Yeah.
Nicole, how long have you been weightlifting?
2.5 years. I was at university playing rugby and I got to the point where I didn't want to do that anymore. Didn't really have any sort of direction in the gym, and then I got directed towards Charlie, who introduced me to weightlifting.
So Charlie actually had a big impact on your taking up weightlifting?
He did.
Right. And Chloe, you're probably the newest to the sport.
Yeah,
of you three,
but
so
like the third link in the chain, I got into it through Nicole really, a year and a half ago. At the Freshers' Fair at uni, I just thought women's rugby or weightlifting, and I went for weightlifting, tried it, and then got in contact with Nicole's coach Sam, and it just went from there really.
Yeah.
But yeah, same as Charlie, I find it quite addictive and rewarding, and whatever level you're at, it's the same sort of feeling that you get from it.
Yeah, it seems to be a sport that's quite easy to get hooked on pretty quickly, because you just gave it a go, thought why not, and suddenly you know achieving good things in the sport. So what is it that got you hooked straight away about the training and preparing for these competitions?
The challenge of finding a way to solve the problem, like get the bar over your head, just different ways of solving the problem, but also the community that I was training in with Nicole and Sam and everyone at the gym that I was introduced to.
Yeah. Charlie, you obviously coach as well, don't you?
Yes,
in a couple of gyms in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
So talk to me about how much of weightlifting is technique and how much of it is pure strength?
It's good balance between the two, really. There's a better way to do things, but at the end of the day, it is a strength sport, and probably the person that is, squatting 20 kilos compared to the next person is going to be lifting more weight over their head. So you need to learn an efficient way to move, but I would say it's important to be very strong. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't really do it without nailing the technique, can you?
Yeah, you do need to learn the technique, definitely. That is very important, but you don't have to overemphasise the technique, I don't think. It needs to be a good balance between the two.
Yeah. Nicole, you obviously, as we've spoken about in previous interviews, you progressed pretty quickly in the sport, didn't you? So do you think you took it up and were quite a natural, or do you think is it just down to the work you put in? Do you think some people are naturally better at weightlifting than others?
Yeah, definitely. Going off what Charlie's just saying, I came from a different sport, so I already had a good baseline of strength. I was quite technically efficient in terms of like depth and things on movements.
Aware of your own body.
Yeah, it was just sort of getting used to the new movements and teaching my body how to lift something from the floor to overhead without, like with all your, it's kind of like, I would compare it to when you learn to play the drums and you realise that you've got to use all four limbs at one time and you've got to coordinate them completely together, and your brain has to focus on, right, I need to do this with my leg, which then completely muddles up what your arms are doing. But you do eventually get into the rhythm of moving your legs and your arms and what you have to do with the rest of your body all together, all in sync.
Yeah, it must be very satisfying when you start noticing those changes, improving, getting the technique. I know, Chloe, I think did you say you had to basically start again?
Yeah, I was at the stage where I didn't have a good baseline of strength, so it's taken me a lot longer to get anywhere near Nicole's strength level, which I'm still nowhere near. I had the movement base from when I was a really young gymnast, and the coordination, but I didn't have the strength, so that's why I'm still having to work harder to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Like, I've got the movement down, I just haven't got the legs.
But that's just something that comes with time, isn't it? You'll build that up, and that'll help you in the long run, I think.
Yeah.
The two of you are preparing specifically for an event this weekend. We'll come back to that in a minute, but I'm quite interested to know about your training routine on a normal week. So how many sessions do you tend to put in during the week? What's your diet like? And how much of your time is then devoted to weightlifting? So start from each other. It's a big part of your life, isn't it?
It's a big part of my life. I sort of have an office job, so I'm in the office Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm coaching the rest of the time and training, obviously. So I'll train on a Monday, Tuesday night straight after work, go straight from work to the gym. Then have Wednesday off because I work a big long shift in the office. Then training basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So generally it's between sort of 5 and 9 sessions a week. But obviously more towards the 5 sessions a week. And diet just is a lot of sort of good food, really. I think I remember asking my first coach what I should be eating, and he just said lots of meals that your grandma would cook you, that sort of thing. So like nice big roast dinner type things. So that's pretty much what I eat. Yeah, nothing too healthy, really.
Yeah, but you need a decent fuel in there.
Yeah, just good food, just good quality food, really, and lots of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of energy that it takes to do the sessions that we do. So you need to fuel them.
Yeah. Nicole, what's your routine like? 'Cause I know you've got big ambitions in the sport, so are you becoming more and more almost sort of treating it like a professional training, really, so if you want to make it to the elite level?
Yeah, I will fully admit I've got a massive sweet tooth, so for me my diet was always the biggest issue. But recently, especially now that I've hurt my back, I've realised I really need to take care of myself a bit better. So I've started eating a sort of 4 strict meals a day, and they're worked out on the weight of each carbohydrate, so then I can ratio that to how much my energy expenditure is through each session. So we train 5 days a week, and most of the time it'll be 3 heavy and 2 slightly lighter. So obviously the energy expenditure is slightly different for each, which means I have to calculate my carbohydrate accordingly. But for me to get a big grasp on that is really good, is a step in the right direction for me, because I know that I can then utilise my muscles properly because they're fueled properly. Whereas
that's the proper way to think about it, really.
Whereas before, with a 3-hour session, obviously you go in, you've had your breakfast, and then you get a little bit in and you start thinking, I'm hungry. And then the more it goes on, you know that you've still got like 4 more exercises to go, and you just get hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. Whereas now I know that I can split my grams of carbohydrate over my session, so I can have a bit before, I can have a bit in the middle, and then at the end I can have a massive meal. So it's just a lot easier way of doing it, but it's definitely the better way to go than big old slice of cake.
And this is the same for you, like 5 sessions a week at the moment. How does your diet change as you stepped up the training?
It's changed particularly this last week to make sure that I'm monitoring like salt intake and water intake and stuff. But generally I eat quite a lot of the right stuff, as well as treats and sugar as well. But I tend to put my carbohydrates, my big carbohydrates, either side of training to make sure that my muscles can repair themselves, and then I just eat a lot of everything else, really. Meat, some veg, late night snacks sometimes.
Let's talk about injuries then, Nicole, because you've obviously got a slight back problem at the moment. How difficult is it to maintain that intensity of training without damaging your body? You know, you've got to be really conscious all the time of doing things properly, or is it just inevitable that wear and tear is going to happen at times when you're putting that sort of force through your joints?
I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we, every session, think this hurts today, that hurts today.
Yeah.
There are different things, so obviously there's like different extents of that hurts, and you kind of just, you know your body after a while, so you know what you can do and what you can't, and some days you just have to reduce your weight. Like if your knees are aching or whatever, you can wear knee wraps. There are preventative things, aren't there? There are ways that you can sort of wrap your body up a bit. But yeah, there are. With me, my body just created a slight imbalance, which over time has just caused one side of my back to seize up slightly. So at the moment, even though we're still training, it's not the same intensity, but we're still maintaining the movement skills and trying in any way possible without loading my back to maintain my strength. So rather than loading like heavy squats and things like that, we're just doing things where my legs are completely isolated but my back is completely out of the picture. But yeah, I think everybody
Yeah.
sort of has those
Have you had any
days.
injuries, you know, that you've had to get over or work with and maintain?
Yeah, and I think myself, it's just very similar to Nicole. If you'll start getting pain somewhere that you maybe should have addressed a year ago, and the pain is like the last sort of part of your body saying, right, this is an issue. It's the final sort of warning that you've got to address something. So I've not had any specific big acute injuries. You know, it's just been things that have built up, sore knees. But I think as a general way to train, it's actually probably quite safe. If you're not trying to lift massive amount of weight, you could probably have quite a good fitness program of just doing a bit of weightlifting, you know, with everything else.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an inherently dangerous sport.
Yeah.
Obviously, it looks quite scary, but it's pretty safe. You know what you're doing. You haven't got people running at your knees.
And realistically, I suppose nobody really goes to maximal 100% every day, because that would ruin your body.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the social side of the sport then, because you all good friends, you all know each other, and there is a good growing weightlifting community in the county. So have you noticed more people getting involved? Is it growing steadily? And you know, what would you say the good things about the social side of it, as well as obviously the enjoyment you get out of doing the sport? So,
I've certainly seen it grow even since I started. I mean, there are a lot more guys and girls who've joined the university club this year, and in the gym as well. There's the franchise CrossFit that uses the weightlifting moves, but even in that, loads of people have been getting involved, but really focusing on actually executing the weightlifting skills well as part of their workouts. Just more and more people in gyms really, and getting active. I don't know.
and socially, is that a big part of it? You know, you obviously don't turn up and train on your own.
No.
In isolation, very often in this sort of sport is.
It's not a team sport, but I think the groups of people you train with become a massive part of your sort of training environment. And when someone's attempting a heavy lift or a heavy training movement, you know, you get a lot of support from everyone you're training with, because everyone knows how difficult it is. You know, so it is a big social thing, I think.
Yeah, and with Trimnasium, Gym 66 in Cheltenham, there's some great facilities, aren't there? And I'm sure there's some others, but where do you do the majority of your training?
For me, I spend most of my time in Trimnasium or Cheltenham CrossFit. But yeah, there's a good few places to train in Cheltenham, definitely.
Yeah, and the sort of style of gym has changed, hasn't it? Because there used to be a lot of chain gyms, but there seems to be more gyms that sort of offer Olympic lifting, and it seems to be just growing in popularity in general. Have you noticed that?
Mm-hmm. I think as well, sort of the culture of bodybuilding, a lot, even though they do use the machines nowadays, a lot of them will come into a lifting area to do deadlifts and things like that. Like, so it does utilise the sort of facilities that are created, and then I suppose the more you see people in those areas, the more you kind of want to go into that area. I suppose it's sort of like it used to be with women not going into the free weights area. You see a lot more of them, and it's now a bit more people have the confidence to go into a lifting area and sort of see what it's all about.
Yeah.
Even if they're not necessarily doing Olympic lifting, still going in there just to sort of get used to using a barbell, and sort of bumper plates and things like that.
Yeah. And what would you say to anybody who's thinking about giving it a go? Who's thinking about maybe male or female who haven't done it before? Would you just say, get a coach? Or can you get some advice, get some guidance?
Yeah.
Before trying to pick up massive weights?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say just go in and give it a go. I would say seek out a good coach, or maybe do a session with a friend that you know does that sport.
But definitely get involved.
Yeah.
Just don't go in blind.
Yeah, there are a lot of, I don't know if you get it, but, well, you probably don't in the CrossFit environment, but there are still women who think that if they, like they've seen videos of really massive Russian women who are not at all feminine, but they're strong as hell. And but then women still have that sort of view that if they lift up a bar, they're going to turn into that Russian beast. So I think that women still are a bit dubious to get involved, but I think both myself and Chloe would say that we're the smallest we've ever been, and that's through weightlifting.